Hello everyone, Shiv here. I know I said I wasn't going to do any more BRM stuff, but I figured, hey, let's do a final recap and see if it was actually worth the money we paid. Because I have a very strong opinion on this. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the class cards that go into the neutral. We're going to talk about the boss experiences, things of that nature. And then I'm going to wrap it up with my rant. Yes, there will be a rant. Alright, so starting off with Drew the Flame. Okay, it's good in certain scenarios. Mostly, oh, hey, this priest dropped a Northshire Cleric. Okay, so I can put this down and, yeah, have some fun. Yes, you're going to basically deny him card draw. Other than that, there's better 3-drops out there that are neutral that I would much rather put in my Druid deck than this. Volcanic Lumber. This is absolutely shit. The only time I've ever seen this get any value was in a mill Druid deck, and to be perfectly honest, no. I mean, I tried playing around with this, trying to get it out before turn 7. No, wasn't happening. Even ramp wasn't happening. Alright, so it's not that great. The fact that it dies to BGH, I would much rather run Ancients of War than run this guy. All day. That's a much better tree. Alright, moving on to Hunter. Quick Shot. This has quickly been embraced by every single face hunter in the damn game. It's really nice because it now gives you an option of dealing with other face hunters, say, Knife Juggler. Yes, because we all know and hate that damn card. So, really cool. And also, it gives them more spell damage they can play on the back end. You know? That's always been something cool for them. You know, they played a solid game, and then you get all these taunts out, and now they're 100% reliant on their hero power and spell attacks. Because they're all out of silences, they're all out of hunter's marks, so now it's all going to be about spell damage to kill you. And this just kind of helped them out in that department. And then when we get to the Core Rager, this is shit. This is beyond shit. Alright, now as you'll notice, both Quick Shot and Core Rager have this nifty little ability. If your hand is empty, gain +3/+3, or, you know, draw a card. Quick Shot most of the time is going to just be a Dark Bomb for you. Core Rager, if you're actually using it in a deck, most of the time it's going to come down as a 4/4/4 with nothing else. And that does seem kind of shitty. I would like to point out that because it is a beast, certain beast things apply. Alright, so you can make it into a 6/6. You can play it down after a Tundra Rhino and have 4 damage smacking instantly. Alright, you get the point. Overall, it's shit. Let's be honest. It's shit. Okay, Flame Waker. Yeah, me and Nox were already in the process of designing this for our Zolgarub adventure that we were doing, and then Blizzard announced this, and we were like, fuck! Stole our thunder. But, you know, hey, great minds think alike. And this has actually really empowered the fuck out of Mage. Holy crap, Mage aggro has come back something significant because of this card. Alright, we're seeing cards that have been out of the meta for a bit coming back greatly. Now, you would think it was like, well, why did they come back for Antonidas? Well, one, Antonidas is a legendary, and not everybody's willing to, you know, grind out for it or, you know, buy a bunch of packs and hope to get it. So this is another nifty little alternative here that you could play during the course of like gameplay and not have to save things up on the back end and actually be progressively inflicting damage as well as manipulating board states. So this guy's got a huge amount of value. And yes, Mage has figured out, oh wow, Mech Mage. Yes, this works in Mech Mage too. Yes, it does. Oh my god, does this work in Mech Mage. So, great card all around. Dragon's Breath. I find all these mechanics based on how many things have died that turn to be a little underwhelming. Because in order to get like really good value out of it, you have to do other stuff firsthand. So playing this out of hand is almost always going to be 5. You're going to have to trade with board states and injure your own board in order to get value out of this. You can follow it up after like a board clear if you're using, say, a Freeze Mage, but aren't there better cards you'd much rather use than this? I think so. So all in all, not impressed with it. I have seen it being used, but it hasn't caught on nearly as much for obvious reasons. Alright, Solemn Vigil. This was one of the last class cards introduced, and only recently. Has not caught on yet. Most people haven't been experimenting with it as much. Sorry, sad to say. And it's another one of these, you know, for minion dying, reduced cost of it. But in this case, because it's Paladin, and Paladins have like the 2-card combo clear. Actually, they have 2 different ways of doing that, I might add. You might actually get some great value out of it. But again, having to possibly lose your own board in order to justify like a free 2-card draw may not always be that good. But if you can clear your opponent's board while you have Cro-Magnus out, this thing gets really disgusting. I'm just going to say it right now. It gets really disgusting. Alright. Dragon Consort. Initially, I was all in favor of this card because, oh, wow, look, they made a way of ramping out dragons. In theory. In practice, however, this card is more of a trap because it makes you think that dragon decks are good. Now, I'm not saying that they're inherently bad, but aggro exists for a reason. Alright? They're still slow. They're still rampant, and by the time you can actually get some of these big dragons that you really want to get out, you're already near death. A lot of the traditional dragon builds we've seen for Paladin have been way too late game focused and have very little of the earlier mid game to stabilize to make this actually valid. So right now, dragon decks for Paladins, not so good. Now, if you play around and change up how you actually approach it rather than going for late game, and go for more of a mid to earlier approach, you might actually get more value out of the Dragon Consort than what we're seeing now. So keep that in mind. A lot of people don't like this card because they feel suckered in by it. And they have a point, but it's only because their perceptions are very narrowed. So expand your mind, look beyond the obvious, and you'll find value. Not going to say where, but you will find value. Alright. Twilight Well. With the exception of Reynad playing this during the marathon, this is one of the most utterly garbage cards I've seen. And I was so looking forward to more dragons that were worth something. Because I kept saying, you know, dragons, that's cool, Dragon Synergy is going to be good, but you need low drop dragons. And so they give the 1 low drop dragon to the most consistently losing class in the game. As if to allude that, hey, Dragon Synergy will work with Priest. No, it fucking won't. Ask Reynad, he'll tell you. Alright, Resurrect. This one has some really cool synergies in there. Most notable, you coin out a injured Blade Master, your opponent kills it, you pay 2 mana, boom, it comes back. And you got 1 mana to throw a Power Word Shield on it. Value. So, yeah, that's nice. However, later in gameplay, it gets a little bit more dicey. I've actually had it pull me back Emperor Thorazan. I've had it pull back a Ragnaros, Sylvanas, things of that nature. And then I've had it pull back a Deathlord. So, depending on where in the curve, how much is in your deck, that's actually going to have to be a factor for you in considering whether or not to play it. All in all, the card is not bad. It actually adds a very interesting dynamic to Priest. Unfortunately, the rest of their arsenal is utter garbage. So, alright, gang up! Mill Rogue Reality. Yes, it actually is a reality. Is it as effective as Mill Druid? No, it's not. Sorry. In other decks, I haven't really seen it overly that successful, but who knows? That may change as time goes on. Dark Iron Skulker. This, again, is another card that has not really caught on. I personally use it in my Tempo Rogue deck, and it works brilliantly. Holy shit. Mind you, I embraced some of the dragon synergies in my Tempo Rogue deck. Oh, but Shiv, you know, Rogue and dragons, that shouldn't work. In theory, you're right. But in Tempo, it works brilliant. And this guy just adds to that. All right. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten out free volcanic drakes because of this one card right here. All right. So keep that in mind. It's actually not a bad card. The 3 life, I'm a little but with this battle cry, I'm okay with it. Shamans. All right. When I first saw Lava Shock, I was going, oh, great, yes, that's exactly what Shamans need. Another 2-phase damage spell. Because if you actually look at what Shamans have, they have quite a bit of damage to face. All they have to do is basically burn you down just a little bit with minions, and then they can just kind of stall, whatever, and they get to their end game and just go, erase, done. Never actually having to interact with the board after that point. And they just burn you down. Has not caught on, thank God. But in the more traditional mid-range to control shaman, I guess, decks that are out there that are actually starting to embrace this has actually been catching on quite well. It's taking the one negative of the class and giving it not so much, you know, removing it altogether, but it's making it more bearable, which is opening up a lot more possibilities for Shaman. But of course, in Mech Shaman, this is absolutely garbage because they generally don't use many of those cards other than Crackle. And at that point, you're already dead. Alright, Fireguard Destroyer. Again, another card, super powerful. It's starting to catch on a little bit, but not really. Because, again, the more successful deck for Shaman is Mech Shaman. This doesn't fit in it. It doesn't. I mean, because it's either you take this, or you take the Mechanical Yeti, or the Piloted Shredder. And generally, you don't want too many 4-drops in that deck, so this gets no love at all. But in more traditional Shaman decks, this is working very, very good. It's a great tool. So there's value in it. A lot of value. Also, on a side note, even if it goes up to 7 and it pulls a Big Game Hunter, how good do you feel? Now your Dr. Boom gets in free. Now your Neptulon doesn't have to worry. Now insert big ass fucking minion here. You get my point. So that's good. And if you draw Shadow Word Death with it, even better. Even better. So I like it. Ah, the Warlock. Alright. So Demon Wrath. Yes, because that's the one thing Warlocks were missing. More fucking AoE. This now gives them 3 AoEs they can use. And it kind of incentivizes you to play pure demon decks. Not that that wasn't a problem beforehand, but it's going to be, especially with the next card, the Imp Gang Boss, which, by the way, if you have the gold version, you may affectionately refer to it as the Imp Gang Baller, because this guy is actually the surprise hit of the 3-drops, all right? Fits in nicely with Zeus type decks, fits in nicely with demon decks. You can get a lot of little imps out, then use implosions. And, oh, look at that. Here comes Mal'Ganis. And you get a super board of 3/3s just wrecking shit. Oh, I've done it many times. It's so much fun. The card is pure value all day long. Probably one of the best 3-drops in the game, my personal opinion. All right, Warrior. Well, much like Druid, Warrior kind of got the bone on their class cards. Revenge. It's a whirlwind with kind of a gimmick to make it do more damage. And it's more expensive than whirlwind, so I can kind of see why this is cool, but I can also see how this backfires a lot. And in all honesty, most of the meta has not embraced this at all. Matter of fact, they avoid it like the plague. It's an interesting design concept that I just don't feel is good. Meh. Axe Flinger. I saw this card and I was going, okay, alright. Aggro and Rage Warrior might become a thing. Who was I fucking kidding? Hell no. Even with the Grim Patron decks, you don't see this guy taking off. You don't. It's just because there's no room for it. There's much better cards you'd much rather put in there. So, I mean, it's like, I could take an Axe Flinger, or I could take something that's going to draw me more cards to get me to my, OTK objective. Which am I going to take? Yeah. So, I tried playing around with this, making enraged decks, this, that, and the other, and, well, it never worked out too well. Never. I mean, it was kind of fun, but other than that, no. Okay, so now we're going to get to the neutral options. Garbage. Pretty fucking damn good. I've had a lot of success with this card. I'm not going to lie. Blackwing Technician, lots of value. But again, only in Dragon Synergy decks. In Paladin, I had to play it slightly different. In Rogue, oh my god, the tempo value for this card is insane. Dragon Kid Sorcerer. Now, a lot of people are like, hey, is this card going to be good? Is it going to be really combo-centric? And people are like, it's bad value. In all honesty, guys, it actually is bad value. Outside of two classes. And those two classes would be Shaman and Paladin. And here is why. Okay, so, Shaman, this comes down turn 4. You do nothing about it, right? Right? Yeah, you don't even silence it, you don't kill it, whatever. Here's what ends up happening. You put a Rock Biter on it. Okay, it goes up to 7 attack. Oh, by the way, Wind Fury exists too, and that's only 2 mana. Congratulations. This now goes up to 8 attack times 2. That's 16 damage when on the turn it can attack. Now throw another Rock Biter in on that equation, alright? You starting to see what I'm getting? This could actually become a turn 5 kill if you don't deal with it the moment it comes out. The likelihood of this happening, very, very, very slim. But it could happen. So if you're playing against the Shaman and you see this guy come down, kill it instantly or bend over. Those are your only 2 options. Alright, Hungry Dragon. Now, a lot of people had problems with this card. It's like, oh, well, you know, that 1-drop could really fuck you. What if it's a Flame Imp? Okay. So, people were saying that. And what I discovered with this card is, yeah, that's kind of true. It can. Most of the time, though, there's so many really, really shitty statted 1-drops, it's not that big of an issue. So, I generally do not play this unless I already have a board state. If I've got, like, just even a 1/1 token minion or a fucking weapon on, then I'll play this guy. Because I know I can remove whatever he's got or going to get from this and have a 5/6 for 4. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that all day long. Blackwing Corruptor. This is probably one of the only saving graces of some of these dragon decks because this gives a lot of flexibility. In Tempo Rogue, a lot of flexibility. Paladin, a lot of flexibility. So it's one of the cards that if you're going to try to do a dragon deck and you're not taking this, you're kind of going to get hurt for it. Alright, next up is the Grim Patron. Wow, if ever I was wrong about a card, I looked at this guy and went, wow, this is like super casual fun card, right? Even though me and Nox created something vaguely similar previous to this, but hey, you know. So they make this card, they made it 5 mana, because that's kind of where me and Nox realized something like this would actually have to sit. And I didn't think it was going to be nearly as powerful, and then I forgot, oh yeah, fucking Warrior exists. And oh yes, it didn't take Warrior long to figure out, hey, I've got no TK. Yes, thank you, Blizzard. You know, the people who keep saying, oh, we don't want OTK, but yet you somehow always keep giving it to fucking Warrior. May want to work on Warsong Commander to make it down to 2 instead of 3 and below. Just saying. Alright. Draconoid Crusher. Constructed this card is absolutely shit. Alright? It really is. In Arena, however, this card is fucking amazing. Oh my god. If you're in Arena and this comes up as a pick, I take it. I take it all day long. Because this is like basically saying, oh, by the way, I know I'm winning, but now I'm going to win even more. You might want to concede next turn. True fact. Emperor Thorazan. Now, there are a lot of people who have opinions of this card. Some people think it's only good in 3 decks, you know, mostly Paladin, Warrior, and Druid. And they're not too wrong on this, to be perfectly honest with you. But mostly because nobody's figured out any cool synergies with it outside of there. I mean, it's going to happen. It will happen. I have seen it used in mages to really make my life a living hell on the ladder. But other than that, no, not really. It's a card that basically says you're going to get value out of it just for that turn. Because there's no one in their right mind who's going to let you keep that for more than a turn. And if you are unable to deal with it that turn, you're pretty much going to lose. This increases the odds of winning if it persists more than a turn dramatically. All right? Keep that in mind. But again, nobody's going to let this live a turn. They will trade their board just to prevent it. All right, Volcanic Drake. Initially, I looked at this card and I was like, all right. And then, you know, Paladin. We saw that Paladin deck being played by Robert A. Wing over there with Blizzard. And I was like, yeah, okay, I guess. But then I started playing around with it in Rogue. Okay, I like it a lot better now. This really gave some really nice value, and it was kind of fun. Okay, Red Blackhand. You know, I looked at this card, I was like, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit. And then I got to play with it. It's still shit, but I had a lot of fun with it. All right? Because there are a lot of times there's, you know, legendaries that come down that you can't really deal with. Well, now you can. Oh, Ysera. And with all the Dragon decks coming out, yeah, being able to kill a Ysera is a kind of big deal. It's still a shit card, but hey, it's an option. Chromagus. Alright, so people saw Chromagus, they thought it was going to be great. Yeah. In practice, though, I've had Chromagus actually draw cards twice. No. In Paladin, 3 times. In Druid, 10 times. But what happens is that most of the time, your opponent will do everything they can to kill this the moment it hits the board. That's actually kind of an interesting thing, because you can use that as a strategy to force them to clear their own board. And I've done that before. It's actually quite effective. But is it a good card? It's a good card. It really is. I think it's actually probably one of the better cards to come out of the set. All right. Major Domo Executus. Fuck you, Blizzard. Now, being an old vanilla WoW player, and I played in Pandaria and shit like that too, Molten Core made up a great amount of my early WoW experience. An excessive amount of my early WoW experience. So, I came to know Major Domo very well. And yet, here I feel so underwhelmed. This is literally a card that says, yes, play me to fuck yourself. Because when I die, because I'm going to die, I'm going to fuck you harder than you can ever imagine. Somewhere, when they were designing this, Ben Bro just could not stop laughing because he realized how bad of a design it was and how much people were going to get fucked over by it. It's garbage. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Ever. Alright. So, we get on to the next one. Nefarian. People have some interesting takes on Nefarian. A lot of people don't like him, which, you know, let me get him up here. A lot of people don't like this card. Add 2 random spells to your hand. I've played around with this guy a little bit, alright? I have. And I've gotten some value out of it. Playing up against a priest, I got a mind control blast and was able to take like his big ass minion and turned it on him, and it was so much value. I was playing up against a warlock, ended up getting a sacrificial pact, so the moment he went Jaraxxus, I win. Those situations are going to happen, and you're going to see some like Trolling videos on this, I guarantee it. But is it a good card? 9 mana for an 8/8 that does this. You know, the fact that it's an 8/8 means it dies to Big Game Hunter. That is always something you have to look at. Because of Dr. Boom, Big Game Hunter has become a staple of deck design. Alright? So it's going to die to that. So if you don't pull out the Big Game Hunter before you play this, it's pretty much fucked. But there's also other really good 9-drops out there. There's Ysera, doesn't die to Big Game Hunter. There's Alexstrasza. The moment it comes down, it can either save your life or fuck your opponent. This, not so much. So there are some deck designs that work really well with him. I play with a couple of them. I don't know so much if this is going to be overly that great, but it can be. Alright. Now, let's talk about the bosses. Alright. On normal, they were kind of easy. Actually, I kind of felt they were a little bit easier than Naxxramas, which, hey, nothing wrong with that. Alright. What I loved about this was the interactions between, you know, you and the bosses and Nefaria and Ragnarok. I love that. That was great story arcing. And I loved it. Alright? Ragnarok's coming to help you in that one fight. Brilliant. You know, especially considering we just whipped the shit out of him. And Ragnarok pretty much only looks out for himself. So, you know, lore-wise, I had a little bit of a problem with it. But, you know, other than that, it made for a great story. And that's something that the developers love. They love the story. And I do too. That's why I'm not going to argue that point with you. But the class challenges, again, they were simple. They were meant to be fun. They were an enjoyable experience. They were enjoyable. I enjoyed every single one of them. It got to show off some of the uniqueness of these new class cards and how they're going to be used and have fun with it. And I did. So thank you for that, Blizzard. I really did enjoy that. And here's where I get to bitch. The heroic modes really did not feel all that heroic. Some of the bosses gave me a little bit of a challenge. I'm not going to lie. They did. But overall, I felt the entire heroic experience underwhelming. I felt it was not very heroic. It felt very casual to me. I was able to figure out these bosses pretty damn quick, even in many cases before I even played against them. Alright? Now, is that inherently a bad thing? No, it's not. Does that mean, you know, I'm maybe getting smarter and understanding the mechanics of this game? Okay, that is a possibility, but let's be honest, I'm dumber than a bag of rocks on a good day. What I think is that they actually scaled it down because a lot of people complained in Curse of Naxxramas that the bosses were maybe a little too hard. Some of them were too situational to the hand you got. Now, we had a couple of those in here. Alright, we did. And one of them, I will say, was cheating like a motherfucker the entire time. But I actually felt like the bosses themselves on Heroic were not challenging enough to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just try-harding. Maybe I had higher expectations. Who knows? But I honestly felt they were a little lackluster. Alright. Now comes my rant. I have a problem with BRM. BRM was a platform to where Blizzard had an opportunity to make some significant changes to the meta. A meta that has been overly dominated by one specific type of play that has incentivized less creative thinking and more aggressive gameplay, thus relegating a lot of specific archetypes and deck designs to being absolutely useless because they cannot compete. Blizzard had an opportunity to change this, and instead they made it worse. Now, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I don't know. In some ways, I could say that aggro decks like Hunter and now Mage keep the game kind of honest, all right? I've been playing this game since its beginning. I've pioneered a lot of the original Hunter OTK. I've seen the original Miracle Rogue, which was so ungodly. I've seen the giant wombo combo from Warriors that just wrecked everybody. And I remember the days when shamans were basically OTKing everybody anyway. Now, Blizzard did a lot of things to kind of alleviate this to some degree. And they did. However, in the process of doing that, they've pretty much said that you either play a lot of taunts and a lot of heals, or you play a lot of aggro. I don't like these polar extremes at all. It does not make for a very diverse meta. Now, again, these are my opinions. This is what I see on the NA ladder. It might be different on the EU, it might be different in all the other regions. And maybe I'm just unlucky in my matchmaking and only seeing nothing but aggro. That is possible. I'm not going to say that that's not what's happening, and I'm not saying that one region is all this or the other. But Blizzard had an opportunity here, and it kind of feels like they just did not use it. Now, we were also expecting some possible changes to the game before BRM came out, because we saw that at Nax, we saw that with GVG, and we got nothing. Again, it's okay. It'll come. And when I look at the lineup of the cards, and a lot of people have been saying this too, and, you know, oh, well, you know, the Nax cards were better. There were more quality Nax cards. There is some validation for this in the slimmest of margins. Yes, a lot of the Nax cards had value. However, some of them had to get changed because of their value. BRM introduced new mechanics, so I give you props on that. You're trying new things. That's cool. Some of them are extremely underwhelming. Others of them are fucking brilliant. And it's stuff we need to see more of. However, because you failed to address the overall problem that is within this game, some of the stuff that you introduced is undervalued dramatically. So it kind of is a moot point. Now, I've seen people complain that they did not feel that BRM was worth the money. Well, and I've been asked this, hey, do you think the BRM was worth money? Part of me says no, it was not. To be perfectly honest with you, I kind of, in hindsight, wish that I had just grinded out the gold rather than paid the cash money. However, I'm a supporter of this company. I am a supporter of this product, and I like the game. I love the game. Or else I wouldn't be making these videos. I wouldn't be doing the streaming. I wouldn't be doing commentary and podcasts. So I'm willing to support the thing that I love the most. So for that, yes, it was worth me paying money. Do I think that there was value in it outside of the fact that I like to support the company that makes the thing that I get the most enjoyment out of? Sure. But just off what we got from the cards, not as much. But again, you weren't just paying for cards, guys. You were paying for an experience. You were paying for a story. You were paying for a challenge. Did I get a challenge? That's an argument I'm not going to have right now. But the story, got. Couple nifty card backs? Sure. Some new cards that I got to play around with and be creative with? Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. And it's because of that I actually have to say yes, there was value in me spending cash money. So hopefully Blizzard will start actually paying attention to the meta trends and start realizing that the game needs some fresh air into it. Now, how this is going to be achieved, who knows? I have suggestions. Everybody has suggestions. However, I don't think removing Rexar from the equation is one of them. So people need to stop that. But there's definitely a lot of things that they can look into possibly changing to make the game less abusive. And if they do that, I think we could actually have a really good game. But we shall see. Anyway, so that's the end of this. Overall, in comparison to Naxxramas, Nax was better. I'm going to be biased on that. Nax was better. But as per introducing new content, new concepts, I give Blizzard props on this. So, yeah. Anyway, till next time, this is Jim saying thank you very much for watching. If you like these videos, please like, subscribe, leave comments down below. Let me know what you think. Did you feel you got your value out of BRM? Let me know if you paid gold with it. Let me know if you paid cash. And give me your thoughts. I'm really interested in hearing this because I read Reddits, I read forums, and the overall opinions that I'm seeing on this are quite negative. So I want to know what you guys think. So hit me up. Till next time, stay safe, have fun, and may our Jesus bless you. Peace.